I lingered in the hotel foyer, observing my grandchildren head off toward the lift, giggling without so much as a backward look. My daughter-in-law, Monica, had just remarked on how relieved she was to escape the weight of it all, and the whole group had chuckled along. They had no idea I'd caught every syllable. They were unaware that I'd covered every dime of that booking using funds I'd scraped together over 8 months by hawking my baked goods every Sunday in the plaza, tucking away coin by coin inside a biscuit jar concealed behind the shelves of tinned vegetables. They also couldn't have guessed what I had in store next. But to understand it fully, we need to rewind to 3 weeks prior, on a Tuesday midday when sunlight streamed warmly into my kitchen. I was brewing my daily afternoon brew, a ritual I'd kept up since losing my husband 4 years back, when the telephone buzzed. It was my oldest boy, Raphael, speaking in that charming tone he reserved for when he wanted a favor. "Mom, I've got this fantastic plan," he announced. And there it was, that usual twinge in my heart whenever my kids drew me into their schemes. "How about we plan a group getaway for the holidays, just like the old times?" His enthusiasm rang so clear, I could practically picture his grin over the line. "I've spotted this stunning seaside resort. Pools, dining spots, fun stuff for the little ones. It'll be ideal, Mom." I placed the percolator down on the surface, my vision blurring with happy tears. It had been ages since I'd felt truly part of things, invited to more than just a routine meal where I hovered silently as they chatted about careers, vacations, ambitions. I was forever the server, the plate clearer, the one lingering in the kitchen while the others migrated to the den. "That does sound amazing, dear," I managed, fighting to steady my words. "When exactly?" "First week of January, a full 7 days, Mom. Picture it. Me, Monica, Diego, and Anna with the grandkids. And you too. All of us as one joyful clan." He hesitated briefly before continuing. "Only hitch is, Mom, the place insists on one name for the booking. Mind handling it? We'll reimburse you soon after." As always, I ended up as the face of it, the one committing, managing the forms while they reaped the enjoyment. Yet this once, it didn't bother me. This was my opportunity to create a memorable moment for my loved ones, to demonstrate my deep affection. "Absolutely, son. I'm on it." That very afternoon, I dialed the resort. The front desk agent's tone was polite and efficient. "Golden Palms Resort. How may I assist?" "I'd like to book for 12 guests," I stated, my pulse quickening. Organizing something of this scale was uncharted territory for me. "Excellent, madam. For which dates?" "January 2nd through the 9th. I listened to the tap of her keys. "Got it. That'll require 5 family rooms, all inclusive, including full access to amenities. Total comes to $4,200. My breath caught. $4,200. My monthly retirement check was just $800. I'd amassed $800 from pie sales across 8 months. It wasn't sufficient. "Madam, still with me?" Yes, apologies. Could I secure the spot and settle up later?" "We require half up front to hold it, ma'am. $2,100. Sleep evaded me that evening. I rocked in my chair, crunching numbers over and over. I had $50 in bills, a bit tucked away for crises, and my wedding band, the one my spouse had slipped on my finger 42 years ago, featuring a tiny gem that caught the light just so. Come morning, I visited the city jeweler. Mr. Jenkins, the proprietor, was a senior fellow familiar with our entire lineage. "Estella, you're looking well." "I'm fine, Mr. Jenkins. I wondered what you'd offer for this band." He scrutinized it through his magnifier, rotating it in his aged grasp. "Fine item, Estella. I'll go $800. It hit me like a blow to the gut. $800 for 4 decades of wedded life. But visions of Raphael's beaming face, of gathering my family in bliss, swayed me. Sold. Using the proceeds from the band plus my reserves, I phoned the resort that day and wired the deposit. The booking locked in under my name, backed by my card. 5 family rooms for 12, 7 nights. everything included. In the ensuing weeks, chats with Rafael or Diego always circled back to trip logistics, but cash never came up. "We'll sort that out down the line," they'd brush off. "Key is being together." I kept peddling pies on weekends, taking on mending gigs from folks nearby, pinching every penny for the balance due. My home grew chillier with the thermostat lower. I skimped on beef and hoofed it rather than ride the transit, all to make that flawless family escape happen. 3 days prior to departure, Rafael rang with bubbling energy. "Mom, we're counting down the hours. We can't wait. The youngsters are thrilled out of their minds. Monica's got the bags all set. How are things shaping up at the hotel?" "Questions all set, kiddo. Only the last installment remains." "Oh, sure, naturally. We'll sort that out once we're on site. The key is enjoying ourselves." The evening prior to departure, I cleared the booking entirely using my credit card. That came to $2,100, my wedding band, every penny in my savings, and the remaining balance on the card. Yet it felt justified. I was set for 7 flawless days alongside my loved ones. Little did I suspect what awaited me. On departure day, I rose well before dawn. I'd organized my luggage the previous evening, neatly tucking away each piece, selecting my finest outfits, the pearl necklace from my mom, and my easygoing sandals for seaside strolls. I buzzed with anticipation, like a kid the night before the holidays. It had been ages since anything sparked such joy in me. Rafael was due to collect me at 7 a.m. We'd arranged to head out as a group in 2 vehicles to the resort, about 3 hours distant. I slipped into my pale blue frock, the one Diego claimed shaved years off my age, and applied a touch of cosmetics with care. I aimed to appear sharp for the snapshots we'd no doubt capture. By 7:30, Rafael tooted the horn from below. I seized my bag, secured the house, and approached the vehicle beaming uncontrollably. Up front, my daughter-in-law Monica scrolled through her device. In the rear, my tiniest grandkids fiddled with a screen. "Morning, everyone," I called while climbing in, though just the little ones chirped back, "Hey, Nana." Monica, preoccupied, glanced briefly and muttered what passed for a hello. Rafael fired up the motor. "Set for an ideal getaway with the clan," I ventured, hoping to spark some lively chat. "Yeah, Ma," he responded, though he sounded worn out. "Monica, you message Anna to tail us. They've departed already. Diego pilots like a snail, so we ought to arrive first." She shot back, eyes glued to her phone. On the journey, I attempted dialogue more than once. I inquired about Rafael's job, their resort intentions, if the youngsters could handle the water. Replies came curt, mere nods and fleeting grins that vanished fast. Monica texted non-stop, chuckling occasionally at her display. That amusing. I probed at one point, eager to join in on her diversion. "Just the chat with my pals," she said, not meeting my gaze. "Stuff beyond your grasp." I fell silent then, gazing at the blurring countryside, modest homes, foliage starting its autumn shift. My mind wandered to the baked goods I'd peddled to fund this outing, the late night stitching for spare cash, my ring now locked in a pawnbroker's vault. Upon reaching the resort, awe stole my breath. It surpassed the online images in splendor. Graceful palms danced in the sea wind. The grounds bloomed meticulously with vibrant blooms. The structure's pristine exterior shimmered in the noon light. Fountains at the entry murmured soothingly, and waves whispered nearby. "What a stunning spot!" I burst out, heart brimming with delight. "Hard to believe we've made it." The children bounded from the car, thrilled, dashing to the doors. Rafael and Monica hauled bags from the rear. Just then, the other vehicle pulled up bearing Diego, Anna, and the others. My teenage granddaughter Mariana alone rushed over for an embrace. "Nana, this is amazing," she gushed, eyes alight. "Spotted the pool yet? Massive, and word is they offer evening events plus specialty dining." "I did, sweetheart. This week's bound to be magical," I answered, running fingers through her locks. At last, someone mirrored my thrill. We filed into the foyer, where I approached the front desk. The space exuded luxury. polished stone tiles catching chandelier glow, creamy couches, oversized greenery evoking the tropics. Scents of blooms and salty air hung in the atmosphere. "Hello," I greeted the clerk, a friendly young lady. "Reservation for Estella Williams." She tapped her keyboard and beamed. "Right on time, Ms. Williams." 5 family rooms, 7 nights, all inclusive for 12 guests, all confirmed. As she readied the cards and outlined amenities, I caught my boys murmuring low. "5 rooms," Diego hissed to Raphael. "I figured it'd be more basic." "Mom handled the details," Raphael murmured back. "We'll divvy up expenses afterward." The clerk passed over the keys adorned with palm motifs. Rooms on level 3, each facing the sea. Breakfast starts at 6 breakfast runs from 7 off to 10 a.m. in the primary dining area. Midday meals are served between noon and 3 p.m., followed by evening dinners from 6 to 10 p.m., plus you'll enjoy unlimited entry to the wellness center, swimming areas, athletic pursuits, and evening shows. "That's fantastic," I burst out, my pulse racing with thrill. "Hear that, everyone?" We're cleared for all the perks. Yet as I spun to spread the delight among my loved ones, I went still. The spot was empty. Raphael, Diego, Monica, Anna, and the whole bunch of grandchildren had vanished. Just Mariana remained, gazing at me with an odd look. "Where's the rest of the crew?" I inquired, a sinking sensation hitting my gut. "They headed to the lifts," she said, nibbling her lip. "Dad mentioned they'd unpack in the suites and we'd link up soon." They left me behind, sans the keycards. Mariana fell silent, but her gaze hinted at unspoken words. We headed toward the lift zone, yet no trace of the group appeared. Up we went to level 3, strolling the corridor in search, but they seemed to have evaporated. "Mariana, what's happening?" I pressed, my tone shaky. She let out a breath and pulled out her device. "Nana, there's info you should have. It's in the family thread." She paused as though the rest weighed heavy. "What thread?" "The one Dad, Uncle Raphael, Mom, and Aunt Monica set up, named Drama-Free Getaway." Her words grew hushed. "Nana, they didn't want you joining the getaway. It was like the polished tiles beneath me tilted." "What do you mean they excluded me? Raphael himself brought me in. He had me handle all the details." With unsteady hands, Mariana held up her phone. The display revealed the thread. Fresh entries shattered me completely. "We're here." The senior sorted it all, like always. Ideal. Time to relax sans her constant oversight. Notice her buzz at check-in. So cringeworthy. At least she serves a purpose. Let her hole up with the screen while we soak up the goods. The text swam before me. Tears built. My neck tightened. $2,100, my matrimonial band, 8 months of effort, all for their carefree escape without me. Nana. Mariana's call echoed distantly. "Nana, you all right?" No, far from it, though I refused to crumble. I lingered in that passage, the 5 keycards dangling from my quivering grasp, as Mariana watched with moist eyes. Notifications from the thread pinged on her screen, each stabbing deeper. Fingers crossed, she skips forcing group meals. Relax, Monica. If she turns pesky, we'll suggest she seems worn out and needs a break. Priorities, the young one's enjoying it. She can amuse herself. I shut my lids and drew in air. The corridor carried scents of purity and blooms, yet my palate savored only the sharp sting of shame. Over 4 decades I'd nurtured those kids. I'd forsaken my aspirations for their futures. I'd pawned my wedding ring to fund this flawless retreat, and this was their gratitude. "Mariana," I uttered in an unfamiliar timbre. "How old is this thread?" She checked her phone, thumbing backward through history. From when Uncle Raphael pitched the idea. "Nana, check this. It launched the day he rang you." My granddaughter angled the screen my way. Right there, undeniable. Thread launched December 12th by Raphael Carter. The very afternoon my boy had dialed with his charming tone to lure me into the ideal kin outing. I scanned further back, revelations growing uglier. I chatted with Mom already. She bought the tail hook, line, sinker. Thinks she can nail the planning. You know her tech woes. No issue. If she botches, we handle. Key is her footing the bill. Excellent. Gratis trip minus kin chaos. To clarify, no joint outings. All independent. The lines hazed from the sobs I couldn't restrain, but deeper still lay fresher exchanges unveiling the full scope of their disloyalty. Verify the resort permit's booking tweaks. Yep, Diego quizzed front desk. With Mom's name on it, she can adjust. Spot on. Come morning, we'll sway her to shift suites to us for safety. And at checkout, claim a charge mix-up. The place requires another to settle. There it lay. Beyond sidelining me through the stay, they schemed to saddle me with the full tab afterward. They'd exploited me for setup and funding their dream escape, then ditch me holding the invoice. Nana. Mariana brushed my limbs softly. What are you going? That nagging question kept bouncing around in my head. What on earth was I supposed to do now? The version of Stella from before would have just sobbed quietly, choked down the embarrassment, and acted like she hadn't witnessed a thing. She'd have holed up in her room for the whole week, calling for meals from room service to avoid interrupting the family's meals at the dining spots, staring at the screen while they splashed around in the pool, relaxed at the spa, and joined in the evening events, all funded by my money. Yet something deep within me had shifted. Perhaps it stemmed from watching my wedding band slip away into the jeweler's grasp, or those 8 months of rising at dawn to bake pastries and hawk them at the local market, or the harsh truth that my kids viewed me merely as an endless source of cash and logistics, but a burden when it came to actually joining in. I'm still figuring that out, sweetie, I told Mariana, brushing away my tears with my hands backside. But I'm done just standing around weeping. We headed back to my room. It was stunning. A massive king bed draped in spotless white linens, a terrace overlooking the sea right there, and a lavish marble bath featuring a spacious soak tub. All the things I'd fantasized about during those months of pinching every penny. But in that moment, it all seemed hollow, like scenery prepared for a performance, where I played only the role of the banker, never the lead. I dropped onto the mattress, and Mariana lingered near the glass, gazing at the shore where spots of my relatives were already visible. Rafael and Diego splashed with their little ones in the water. Monica and Anna sipped drinks beneath a shaded canopy. Everyone was chuckling and soaking up the fun, behaving as though the incident never occurred. The part that stings the deepest, I shared with Mariana. It's not the cash or even their deceit. It's believing we'd at last become a true family unit, crafting cherished moments side by side. Mariana pivoted, and I noticed her eyes were puffy and moist. Grandma, I really pushed back, saying it wasn't right. Once Dad pulled me into the chat, I pointed out how unfair it was to you, but they claimed I couldn't grasp that grown-ups sometimes face tough choices. Tough choices. That's all I amounted to in their eyes. Right then, my cell buzzed with a text from Rafael. Mom, we're all set here, heading for a bite at the Seaside Eatery. Feel free to get delivery if you'd like. Catch you at supper. Deceivers. I was fully aware they'd schemed to eat without me, but rather than ache, I grinned. Pass along my thanks to your father, but I've got different arrangements. And that was true. I truly did. Ideas were crystallizing in my thoughts with an unexpected sharpness. That day, as my kin relished the sands courtesy of my dime, I focused on placing crucial phone calls, starting with my financial institution, then the front desk, followed by my attorney. If my offspring imagined they could toy with me, they'd soon discover how mistaken they were. The match was underway now, and I held every advantage. As my relatives reveled along the coast that afternoon, convinced they'd cracked the code for a gratis getaway, I remained in my quarters, carrying out my strategy. Over my 65 years, I discovered that endurance serves as a woman's mightiest tool, particularly when others dismiss her potential. My initial outreach went to the bank. After threading through layers of robotic prompts and holding for a quarter hour, I connected with a live agent. National Bank, Carmen here. How may I assist? Hello, Carmen. I'm Estella Williams. I'd like to flag a suspected fraud risk involving my credit card. Certainly, Ms. Williams. Could you share your card details and birth date for verification? Once my identity was confirmed, I laid out the details, selecting my phrasing with precision. Carmen, I suspect a relative might attempt to challenge valid transactions I approved, including a $4,200 hotel booking that I handled myself. I see the worry, Ms. Williams. Any proof of this impending bogus claim? Absolutely. I possess the booking papers, receipts, and folks who can verify I greenlit every cost. Plus, my granddaughter overheard my son discussing a dispute on the line today. Carmen jotted it down and outlined the steps. I'll add a safeguard flag to your profile, Ms. Williams. Should someone contest these, it'll spark an immediate probe demanding solid proof of genuine wrongdoing. Meanwhile, the payments stay intact pending resolution. I'll also send over a document via email for recording this prospective kin-related scam. Ending the bank conversation left me sensing victory in the opening skirmish of an emerging conflict, though I required further resources. My follow-up dial was to the hotel desk. Good afternoon. May I request the supervisor, please? 5 minutes had passed when a gentleman with a warm tone identified himself. Mrs. Williams, this is Miguel Anderson, the hotel manager. The front desk mentioned you wished to talk to me. Yes, Mr. Anderson, I replied. I'm dealing with a sensitive family matter and I require official documentation for some details. I described how I'd covered the entire booking as a gift for my relatives, only to learn they intended to challenge the payments deceitfully. I see completely, Mrs. Williams, he responded. Regrettably, we've encountered these kinds of family issues before. How can we assist? To start, please provide written verification that I'm the sole person responsible for the reservation and that I made all payments willingly. Also, if any family member attempts alterations without me there, notify me right away. Absolutely, madam. I'll prepare a formal document outlining your booking and payment specifics. Additionally, I'll brief the entire front desk team on this. One additional request, Mr. Anderson, could we arrange a session for tomorrow morning? I may need to adjust the booking. Certainly. Does 9:20 a.m. work for you? Ideal. My next conversation was the crucial one. I located the contact for Mr. Jenkins, the attorney who'd assisted my spouse with his estate planning and managed a few routine family affairs over time. Jenkins and Associates. Hello. Good afternoon. Is Mr. Jenkins available? It's Estella Williams. Mrs. Williams, wonderful to hear from you. He's currently with a client, but I can have him step away if it's pressing. It is. Moments later, about 3 minutes, his recognizable voice came through the line. Estella, how have you been? Everything all right? No, Mr. Jenkins. It's far from fine. I require immediate legal guidance. I shared the full account, the vacation, the messages in the group chat, the scheme to contest the fees, every bit. He absorbed it all quietly, offering grunts of concern here and there. Estella, this is grave. What your kids are scheming amounts to monetary deception and mistreatment of an elderly person. Mistreatment? Indeed, tricking someone older to gain monetary advantages is a serious federal crime. Plus, contesting valid transactions qualifies as banking fraud. What steps should I take? Several options exist. For one, it's smart that you've reached out to the bank already. Next, I'll forward you a form to sign and get certified by a notary. It's an affidavit confirming you freely covered all the travel costs. Does the hotel offer notary help? Many big hotels do for visitors. Inquire with the manager. Any other actions? Estella, I must pose a key question. Do you wish to pursue charges against your children? The word struck like a blow to the gut. Against Rafael and Diego, the sons I'd nurtured, tended to during illnesses, given up so much for. I'm unsure, Mr. Jenkins. I simply want it to end. I get that, but know your choices. You could file a lawsuit for the deceit. You might revise your estate plans. You can safeguard your finances. Consider it carefully. Once the call with Mr. Jenkins ended, I remained still for a few long minutes. The evening light was fading, casting a warm glow across my space. Faint sounds of my relatives' cheerful chatter drifted in from the shore as they discussed evening meals amid laughter. At 6:30, a knock sounded at my entrance. Raphael stood there. "Hi, Mom. Enjoy your afternoon." "Quite effective, dear." "Effective? What kept you busy?" "Key phone chats, documents, grown-up responsibilities." I noticed his grin tighten slightly. "Mom, on the topic of documents, Diego and I figured it might simplify things if we managed a few hotel arrangements to spare you the stress. That was their initial overt step in the scheme. Like what arrangements?" "The spare keys for the other suites, say, in case of some crisis needing entry." "What crisis would justify you entering spaces that don't belong to you?" "Xiao," he appeared startled by the straightforward probe. "Not sure, Mom. We only meant it'd be more convenient." "Raphael," I stated evenly, holding my composure as best I could. "At 65, I'm not 95. I can manage the room keys without issue." "Sure, Mom, that wasn't my implication. I just figured that—" "Figured what, precisely?" I observed his unease building, fumbling for phrasing to steer things subtly without overplaying his hand. "Nothing, Mom. Drop it. Joining us for the meal." "Naturally. After all, it's my funds footing the bill for that, right?" The remark startled him. "Your funds. Whose else, Raphael?" "No, you're correct, of course. We'll settle the shares once the getaway wraps, as discussed." "When precisely did we discuss that? Did we settle on splitting costs?" "Mom, I'm confused why you're raising this now." I rose and headed toward the entrance. "Time for supper, my boy. I'm starving." While heading to the lift, I sensed his bewilderment. His scheme depended on me being reliable, easy to handle, behaving just like before. Yet I wasn't the identical lady who'd checked into this place 2 days earlier. Over the meal, I observed my relatives through fresh perspective. I noticed each one relishing the dishes I'd covered, the pricey beverages they picked without hesitation, the extra sweets they grabbed on impulse. I observed them chatting about tomorrow's itinerary like I was invisible, like my company was merely optional. Yet I spotted something more. I caught Mariana eyeing me with concern, realizing a shift had occurred within me. I saw my little grandchildren truly savoring the getaway, oblivious to the grown-ups' disloyalties, and it hit me then. Not every person around that table had turned against me. That evening, once all had retreated to their quarters, Mariana visited me as planned. "Granny, what's happening?" Dad acted so odd at supper. He acted odd since his strategy isn't unfolding as anticipated. I shared details of my phone conversations from earlier, the steps I'd implemented for my safeguard, and the appointment I'd arranged with the hotel's director come morning. "You planning to scrap the vacation?" she inquired, her gaze broadening. "No, sweetheart. I'm aiming for something far superior." "Like what?" I grinned, and for the first time in days, it felt authentic, not strained. "I'm about to deliver precisely what they merit. By 5 a.m. and so, I was up and about, not from any buzzer, but because my routine from those pie-baking months had ingrained early risings. But now, rather than the usual drag of fatigue and duty, a peculiar vitality surged through me, absent for years. This morning marked the turning point. I showered leisurely, slipped into my finest attire, the navy suit acquired for my spouse's memorial, yet unused for any significant event, and descended to the dining area. It was 6:30, and the spot was nearly deserted. Ideal. I required silence to scan my papers once again. As I nursed my brew and examined the files Mr. Jenkins had sent at dawn, I noticed Miguel Anderson, the establishment's overseer, enter. A fellow in his 40s, polished with that inviting expertise typical of those who grasp hospitality deeply. "Mrs. Williams, good morning. Restful night." Quite, thanks. Might we advance our chat? A couple matters I'd like to cover prior to my kin stirring. Certainly. My office suit you. Yes, ideal. His workspace was refined yet inviting, overlooking the property's greenery. Walls bore certificates, snapshots of notable gatherings, and a brewer, from which he promptly poured me a serving. Mrs. Williams, I conferred your matter with our attorneys overnight. We're committed to grasping the full picture. Your attorneys. Indeed, incidents like this, though regrettably common, demand we adhere to safeguards for both visitor and venue. Miguel flipped open a file atop his desk. Permit me to verify. You funded the entire booking of $4,200 via your personal card, uncoerced, as a treat for your loved ones. Right. Spot on. And proof exists that certain relatives intend to challenge these fees deceitfully. Affirmative. My granddaughter overheard my son liaising with the bank. Understood. I've got 2 papers for your perusal. The initial one was a formal hotel declaration verifying every reservation and payment detail. The next proved more intriguing. A contract supplement granting me sole command over the entire visit. What does this entail precisely? I queried, indicating the latter. It signifies that you, the payer and booking owner, hold total dominion. You determine occupants and evictions. You alter amenities and may even void particular suites at will. My pulse accelerated. I can void particular suites. Precisely. 5 deluxe rooms are under your booking. Retain them all or eliminate 1, 2, 3, or 4 as desired. And those occupants must seek other lodging or depart the premises. The notion crystallized vividly in my thoughts. Miguel, what's the departure hour? Typically noon, yet we're adaptable based on needs. And for an earlier exit, is that feasible? Yes. Contemplating reservation adjustments. I paused briefly, gazing through the pane at the landscapes where caretakers had begun their tasks. Dawn had broken, but the hours ahead vowed warmth, sunshine, and beach bliss. Precisely the sort of morning my kin had envisioned relishing. All on my dime, no exceptions. Miguel, I'd like to adjust a few things, but I need them handled precisely as I'll outline. Absolutely, I'm listening intently. I'd like to drop 4 out of the 5 suites we booked. Miguel lifted his brows just a touch, yet kept his composed demeanor. Which particular one are you keeping? I pulled out my notepad with the room details jotted down. Let's hold on to 301, 302, 304, and 305 for cancellation. Only 3 stays. That's my space. Got it. And what's the timeline for these changes? Effective today, though not right away. Start by locking down access to those suites at 10:07 or 8 a.m. Their key cards deactivate then. Follow up at 11 a.m., with staff visiting each to notify the occupants they need to clear out by noon because of reservation updates. Miguel jotted everything down as I explained, staying neutral and utterly professional. Any particular guidance for the team? Definitely. Have them clarify that the booker, me, chose to alter the arrangements. Make it clear it's no fault of the hotel's, it's just my call as the one footing the bill. If they inquire about reaching me, say I'm in 303 and open to a calm discussion. But if there's yelling, intimidation, or rudeness toward your people, alert security right away. Miguel wrapped up his notes and regarded me with a blend of respect and intrigue. Mrs. Williams, if I may, what prompted this shift? Miguel, do you have loved ones at home? Indeed, my spouse and 2 little ones. Do you cherish them? Naturally. Would you go to any lengths for their sake? No question. But suppose they turned on you. Suppose you learned they were exploiting you, that they felt ashamed of you, that they'd schemed to defraud you. Miguel paused briefly. I believe I'm starting to see. For 4 decades, I nurtured my kids. I nourished them, dressed them, tended to their illnesses. I toiled to fund their schooling. I set aside my own aspirations for theirs. And just when I envisioned us bonding as a unit at last, I realized they view me as a convenient burden, Good only for covering costs. My deepest sympathies, Mrs. Williams. Save your pity, Miguel. This isn't grief, it's freedom. I put my signature on the required paperwork, including the affidavit Mr. Jenkins had drafted. Miguel summoned the on-site notary, who showed up in under 10 minutes to seal the deal officially. One more request as we wrapped up, I told Miguel. Could you arrange a taxi for 12:30? How many passengers? Only 2, my granddaughter, Mariana, and myself, heading to the airport. Not at all. We're off to a different resort, somewhere we can actually savor a getaway. Miguel cracked a genuine smile, the first of our chat. I'd be delighted to assist with that as well. Back in my suite by 8:30, I figured the rest of the family was up, scheming their ideal itinerary, excluding me once more. But today marked a turning point. I settled on the terrace with a steaming mug of coffee from room service and bided my time. By 9:12, Mariana's first update would hit, sharing snippets from their hidden chat. At 10:00, their cards would fail. At 11:00, staff would deliver the news, and for the first time ever, I'd hold all the reins. My cell buzzed. A text from Raphael. Mom, breakfast time, joining us. I typed back, pass, I've got different ideas lined up today. Like what? You'll find out soon enough, dear. You'll find out. I glanced at the clock, 9:55. 5 minutes till the clock started ticking, the instant my kin realized they'd gravely misjudged the woman who'd brought them into the world. Truth be told, I was eager for their reactions. Right on cue at 10:00, my phone lit up with Mariana's initial alert, a capture of the covert thread from moments before. Flawless schedule ahead, shoreline all morning, then the spa later. Bet the grandma holes up in her quarters again like last time. Excellent. Post-meal, we'll hit the front desk to seize the other bookings. You check with the bank, Diego. Yep. Challenge filing wraps up this afternoon. Come morning, no more fretting over the tab. Every line reinforced that I'd chosen wisely. No hesitation, no remorse, no space for second thoughts. They'd forged this route themselves. By 10:30, another ping from Mariana, Nana, the crew's lounging poolside. Dad mentioned heading to the desk after eating to fix the room situation. Overheard Aunt Monica noting today's their final act of faking normalcy, their closing performance of enduring my presence, finally drawing to a close. I refilled my mug and eased into the balcony chair. From that vantage, I spotted the pool where my relatives frolicked. Raphael and Diego were splashing around in the pool alongside a few of the grandchildren. Monica and Anna sipped drinks beneath a shaded umbrella, chuckling easily, unwinding, content, savoring the getaway I'd funded, even as they schemed to stab me in the back. Right at 10:55, my cell buzzed. Miguel was on the line. Mrs. Williams, everything's set. In 2 minutes, access cards for rooms 301, 302, 304, and 305 will stop functioning. Spot on. Miguel, is your team prepared for the fallout? Absolutely. Security's poised and waiting, and we've already instructed the cleaning crew on managing things with tact yet resolve. Outstanding. I'll meet you in an hour. I glanced down at my timepiece. 9:58, 9:59, 10:00. Precisely then, my relatives' entry cards turned into worthless scraps of plastic. No way to enter their suites, retrieve possessions, swap outfits, or rinse off post-swim. I bided my time. The chaos erupted swiftly. By 10:07, Anna rose from her lounge chair near the water and headed for the lifts, likely fetching an item from her space. At 10:11, my phone shook with a frantic text from Mariana. Grandma, Mom's raising a fuss at the front desk. Her card's dead. 3 minutes on, a follow-up pinged in. Everyone's gathered now. Dad's fuming. The clerk's trying to clarify, but it's hard to catch from my spot. At 10:20, Raphael rang. His tone was strained, measured, though the underlying alarm seeped through. Mom, issue with the accommodations. Cards aren't scanning. Mind heading to the lobby to assist. What's the issue exactly? No clue. Desk staff mentions a booking alteration, but that's nonsense. Nothing's been altered. Odd, I responded in my sweetest, most guileless inflection. Certain nothing's shifted. Positive, Mom. Can you swing by? We must resolve this fast. The little ones are eager to return upstairs. Tied up at the moment, dear, but relax. It'll get ironed out shortly. Tied up how? Personal matters. I ended the call before he could press. By 10:45, Mariana texted once more. Grandma, the front office heads conferring with Dad and Uncle Raphael. They seemed deeply concerned. Aunt Monica's clashing with a desk attendant. At 10:58, the phone lit up anew. Diego this time. Mom, get to the front desk immediately. Major mix-up here, and you're the only one who can straighten it. What sort of mix-up? Hotel claims you axed our bookings. Absurd, huh? Insist it's an error. Why absurd, Diego? What do you mean? No grounds for you to ditch our stays. None whatsoever. A heavy pause stretched across the connection. Mom, what's really happening? Bet Miguel laid it out crystal clear. Miguel, you know the boss. Naturally, we wrapped up a fruitful chat this morning. More quiet. When Diego broke it, his delivery had shifted utterly. Mom, you did cancel our rooms. Indeed. Why? Simple. My prerogative. And I disconnected. Bang on 11 howling. From my terrace vantage, I watched hotel personnel stride toward the poolside. 3 in total. Miguel, a lady from customer relations apparently, and an undercover guard. They neared my kin. Miguel gestured at the building while conversing with Raphael. I noted the dawning dismay, bewilderment, then rage etching my kids' and in-laws' features. The grandkids, clueless amid the turmoil, clustered by their folks seeking answers. At 11:05, pounding echoed at my entrance. Not a courteous tap for company. Harsh, insistent, frantic raps. I swung it open to find them. The quartet. Raphael, Diego, Monica, Anna. Their countenances formed a mosaic of sentiments. Rage, bafflement, dread, incredulity. Down the corridor behind, several grandkids hovered, clutching swim gear. Care to explain this madness? Monica barked prior to any greeting from me. Morning to you as well, I answered steadily, moving back to let them enter. Spare me the sarcasm, Estella, Monica pressed on. Staff insists you pulled our reservations. Preposterous. And why preposterous? We're blood. Or so I believed. Raphael advanced, adopting his smoothest, placating manner. Mom, obvious mix-up. Shall we head to the desk and unravel it? No mix-up, Raphael. I revoked your bookings since you're unwelcome on my excursion. Your excursion. Anna appeared truly perplexed. I figured it was collective. Me too, right up to learning you exclude me from the fold. Diego's brow creased. About what? I pulled my device and displayed the captured chat logs from the hidden thread Mariana forwarded. Their expressions crumpled upon scanning their words. This, Raphael stammered, groping for phrasing. This isn't how it seems. Not at all. So tell me, Raphael, what does a complimentary getaway without any family chaos really entail? The quiet in the room hung heavy, almost suffocating. The 4 of them exchanged glances, desperately hunting for a justification, some escape from the mess they'd created. Mom? Diego finally broke the silence. I get that you're angry, but you can't just strand us without accommodations. We've got young kids, the very kids you intended to shield from me by bringing on that babysitter. That was. And the bank, Diego. Have you initiated the charge reversal yet? Diego's complexion drained of all color. What? How did you find out? I know it all. I know about the chat group. I know about your scheme to seize the booking from me. I know about the bogus claim you plotted with the bank. I know it all. Monica sank into the chair, burying her face in her palms. Anna appeared on the verge of vomiting. Raphael and Diego lingered in the center of the space like guilty youngsters busted swiping sweets. All right, I continued, my tone coming out remarkably steady, even to my own ears. These are your choices. You can grab your belongings, which the hotel team has graciously bundled up already. You can summon a cab, and you can head off to locate another place to stay where you'll cover your own trip costs. Or else, Raphael inquired, his voice quivering. Oh, nothing at all. That's it. No alternatives. "You won't get away with this," Monica shouted, leaping from the seat. "We're your kin. You can't just ditch us." I stared straight into the gaze of the woman who'd endured my suggestions for years with phony grins, who'd gossiped about me in secret, who'd poisoned my son against me. "Monica," I replied, my composure startling even myself. "Who ditched whom to start with?" Right then, I caught the awareness in her eyes. She understood precisely what I meant. The conflict wrapped up before they realized it had ignited. The hush after my query crushed everything. I could make out the hum of the AC, the faint chatter of fellow vacationers down the corridor, the soft lap of waves on the shore. Yet inside my suite, the stillness felt thick, almost tangible. Raphael was the initial one to attempt pulling himself together. "Mom, this is insane. You can't mean it. Do I seem like I'm kidding?" But the little ones, what will the grandkids make of this? For the first time amid this clash, a sharp ache hit my heart. My grandkids, the sole purity amid all this treachery. The grandkids will figure their folks chose awfully, and now they're dealing with the fallout. "You're tearing this family apart," Anna sobbed, tears flowing down her face. "No, Anna. This family fell apart when you all viewed me as a hurdle rather than a cherished part of it." Diego approached me, palms raised in supplication. "Mom, come on. I admit we messed up, but we can mend it. We can hash things out right now. You want dialogue after all those months scheming this betrayal?" "It wasn't months," Raphael whispered. "Wrong. The chat group started the exact day you asked me to join the vacation, Raphael. That very day. I observed him crumble from within. Denial was impossible against the proof." "Fine," Monica declared, rising with a scowl of rage she no longer concealed. "You crave the victim role. You need your big theatrical scene. Okay, but don't count on us rushing back when loneliness hits you anew." Her barbs aimed to wound, to sway me, to stir that fear of solitude I'd always carried. "Monica!" I responded, striding to the entrance and swinging it wide. "I'd prefer solitude over the company of those who hold me in contempt." "We don't hold you in contempt," Diego burst out. "No, then clarify what ditching the load and enduring one final day of faking normalcy signifies." Diego parted his lips to respond, but nothing emerged. Just then Mariana showed up at the threshold. She'd lingered in the hall alongside the other grandkids, yet she seemed visibly upset. "What's happening?" she wondered in a tiny tone. "The children can't grasp why we're departing." My heart fractured further. This girl, my granddaughter, who'd revealed the text to me, who'd stood by me in uncovering this, now she'd depart as well. "Mariana," I murmured gently, "over here." She drew near and I clasped her hands. "Sweetie, your parents and I share deep conflicts. They're required to vacate the resort. But why, Grandma?" I glanced at Diego, her dad, pondering if he'd summon the guts to confess the reality to his daughter. "Why?" Diego uttered in a fractured tone. "Dad committed some major errors." Mariana eyed her father. Then she turned to me, and in her gaze I spotted an insight far beyond her 17 years. "Is it linked to the chat group?" The room went rigid. Anna whipped toward her daughter, face twisted in alarm. "What do you understand about it?" "I know it all, Mom. I know the things you've uttered about Grandma. I know you and I never intended for her to join the vacation. I realize you just brought her along to cover all the costs." The quiet that ensued felt entirely different. It wasn't charged with refusal anymore. Instead, it carried the burden of admitted guilt. "Mariana," Anna attempted to clarify. "It's not that straightforward." "Oh, it is." Mariana withdrew her hands from mine and faced her parents squarely. "So you're saying it's false that you set up a group chat excluding Grandma just to mock her? False that you intended to challenge the bank fees to dodge paying anything? False that you brought on a nanny to avoid any time with her?" Every accusation landed like a sharp blow. I observed my sons and their spouses visibly wilting beneath the impact of a teen's words that pierced straight through their deceptions. You've wounded the one individual who's always supported us, Mariana pressed on, her eyes brimming with tears, yet her tone resolute. Grandma pawned her wedding band to fund this getaway. Did you realize she sold Grandpa's ring, too? Raphael collapsed into a seat as though his strength had utterly failed him. You sold your ring. Diego appeared nauseous. We had no idea. Raphael replied, That's because you never inquired. You figured I possessed endless funds for your caprices. Monica, silent throughout Mariana's outburst, at last chimed in. All right, we'll depart, but this matter isn't resolved. Is that meant as intimidation? It's a vow. You can't mistreat your kin this way and anticipate no repercussions. Monica, I stated, approaching her until we stood inches apart. I never mistreated my family. They mistreated me. What unfolds now stems from your choices, not mine. Raphael rose from his seat. Mom, I beg you, can we mend this? Can you? Can you what? Exactly, Raphael. Delete the texts you composed. Withdraw the bogus claim you filed. Restore the dignity you stripped from me. We can offer regrets. But are you expressing remorse because you were exposed, or do you truly regret it? Raphael had no response. Precisely. Just then, Miguel rapped softly on the ajar door. Pardon the intrusion, Mrs. Williams. The cab awaits the family. He glanced at my sons. Your luggage is downstairs in the foyer. The resort staff can assist in locating other lodging options if required. Thank you, Miguel. Cab? Anna queried. Are you heading out as well? Indeed. Mariana and I are relocating to a different hotel where we can genuinely savor the break I merit. Mariana's joining you. Diego seemed truly taken aback. I turned to my granddaughter, who gave a decisive nod. Mariana alone in this household has shown me genuine regard and truthfulness. She's the sole one worthy of joining me on this holiday. You have no right to whisk away our child, Anna shouted. I'm not abducting her. She's opting to accompany me, Mariana. Diego addressed his daughter outright. You mustn't do this. We're your kin, Dad. Mariana regarded him with a gaze blending affection and sorrow. Grandma counts as family, too, and you violated her trust. I refuse to partake in that. It's just a short while, I interjected. Afterward, she can choose whether to return to you or stay. This amounts to abduction, Monica grumbled under her breath. No, I asserted steadfastly. This is fairness. Raphael approached me once more. Mom, if we part under these circumstances, our bond will be irreparably altered. Raphael, I rested my hand on his shoulder, and briefly, I glimpsed the young child he once was, prior to transforming into the adult who opted to deceive me. Our connection had already shifted beyond repair. You ensured that. I retrieved my packed bag, prepared that morning following my discussion with Miguel. Mariana's was set as well. Where to now? Diego inquired, his voice laced with resignation. Somewhere I can serve as a grandmother without justifying my very presence. We proceeded to the exit. In the corridor, the younger grandchildren lingered, bewildered and downcast, grasping only that a vital tie had fractured. I crouched before them. I cherish each of you deeply, I told them. None of this is due to you. One day, as you grow, you'll grasp why Grandma needed to take this step. Thomas, the tiny 8-year-old, clung to me fiercely. We won't construct sand forts together anymore. One day, we'll erect the grandest sand forts imaginable, I assured him, once your parents recall how to value those they care for. Mariana and I headed to the lift. As the panel slid shut, I caught sight of my relatives in the passage. My sons dejected, my daughters-in-law enraged, my grandchildren perplexed. Down in the entrance area, Miguel stood by with our cab. Mrs. Williams, he noted while the chauffeur stowed our bags, it was a privilege encountering you. Your actions today demanded immense bravery. It required no bravery, Miguel. It was mere endurance. As the vehicle pulled away from the property, I peered through the rear glass. My family remained at the front, bags in tow, likely phoning nearby inns, seeking shelter. Any second thoughts, Grandma? Mariana wondered. As we gazed at the scenery rushing past, I mulled over the question. I reflected on 4 decades of parenting, the unappreciated efforts I'd made, the unconditional affection I'd poured out without demanding repayment, though deep down, I'd hoped for simple decency in return. No, I answered at last. What I wish is that I'd learned to appreciate my own worth sooner. The cab was making its way to a cozy seaside inn I'd booked earlier that day, a spot where a grandma and her grandkid could sculpt castles from the sand, savor peaceful meals, and rediscover the essence of true togetherness. After years of feeling confined, I sensed a real sense of liberation. For the very first time, I'd prioritized what I needed over everything else. It was both daunting and empowering, yet above all, it simply rang true. What did you think of my tale, and from which town are you tuning in? Drop by in the comments to connect. If the story resonated with you, show your support with a super thanks. It helps me keep sharing more like this. A huge thanks for your kind backing. Can't wait to hear your thoughts below. Check out the 2 fresh personal accounts popping up on screen. I totally suggest them. My channel's packed with even more gems. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Catch you next time for another heartfelt journey, full of warmth and regard.